Welcome back. Gather them dice and get them character sheets out, because we're going to be talking about some Dungeons and Dragons tonight. It's a movie, as Riley would say. Jeremy Irons really ate up the screen. He really ate up the scenery, as they say, and those dragons, those dwagons, those CGI, those awful CGI dwagons. I mean, what were they thinking? Early 2000s animation. Too bad that's not the Dungeons and Dragons that we're talking about tonight. We are talking about Honor Amongst Thieves. So I did my best to dodge everything I can about this movie. Of course I did end up seeing trailers when, you watched the Super Bowl and you saw trailers. I avoided most other trailers going forward. I guess I didn't care too much about the trailer. I didn't feel like this was like a superhero movie where it's like, I'm already going to go see this. I mean, was pretty much going to go see this anyway, but like for like the superhero movies, I already know pretty much about that product, that I don't really need to see the trailer. And the trailer, like I said, you're usually spoilers, full of spoilers. So this one I kind of cheated a little bit. It's I didn't really mind seeing the trailer, but I avoided. Once I saw the trailer, I avoided rewatching it or seeing it again at any other point aside from like the Super Bowl. Like I said, I tried avoiding the critiques, but social media just doesn't allow that. They don't want you to live in a bubble. Kind of almost miss the 80s and 90s of I love the interconnectivity, and I hate the interconnectivity. Sometimes it's the best and sometimes it's the worst. Right now, The Mandalorian season 3 has started, and I'm on a snooze fest. I don't want to unfollow my friends or banish them or hide them or send them to the void. But my God, every fucking day there's this happened. Let's go instantly to social media and let's chat about it. Let's talk about Ahmed Best. Here, the Grogu. And Disney feeds into it. But that was a side rail, and that was a true visceral rant about social media when I should be talking about Dungeons and Dragons. And social media for surrounding Dungeons and Dragons, well, there's a lot of issues right now because there's the whole Wizards of the Coast issue that's going on with both Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. Of course, you know that is owned by an evil corporation called Hasbro, and Hasbro wants to do things that all evil corporations want to do, which is make more money. And so, they've already put in motion ways to capitalize and make more money off of Magic the Gathering to the disdain of their fans. And now they're trying to do the same with Dungeons and Dragons, including the open gaming license. So that was in the ether right before the movie hit. And of course, once that shit hit the fan, it was instant that boycott anything and everything come Hasbro, including the films. Do not go see Dungeons and Dragons the movie. Do I agree with what they were trying to do to make more money? What they're doing for the game? I don't necessarily agree with it. I understand why people are upset. I don't agree, but this is Hasbro, and Hasbro does Hasbro things. I don't agree with what Hasbro does for G.I. Joe things, and I don't agree with what Hasbro does for Magic the Gathering things, but I don't agree with what Disney does sometimes. I don't agree with what Warner Brothers does sometimes. Evil corporations do what evil corporations do, and that's they just line their pockets and pay the top execs and screw everybody else. So you have to pick your poison. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and third edition, or probably the last versions of Dungeons and Dragons that I've ever played. I think I played a little bit of 5th edition right before the pandemic, but it's all that stuff is just what's to heart. I don't really see myself running any more games anymore. I mean, Kyra runs games, so if I play again, it'd probably might be with her. Although she doesn't invite her old man to the table, she'll probably be embarrassed or embarrass her, or afraid of I'd make bad decisions. And I'm not really actively searching for other games. So some of the stuff doesn't bother me. Now I talked about like the open gaming license, but there's my one friend constantly comes back with, and I hate this term. I hate that it's a thing. I hate that everybody uses it, and I hate that I must use it. But they always complain about it being woke now. They changed races into species. I actually don't mind that. I don't really see, a minotaur being a race. Minotaur being species makes more sense. I don't understand like that, that argument. And I don't know how much of this is true. I don't know how much of this is just that they're reading negative stuff from some sort of negative site, and that they're just feeding me the information so that I can feed it onto the podcast. But a lot of their complaints are like, I think they did away with. Please, if somebody plays fifth edition, I don't think it's in fifth edition, but it might be in the new Beyond edition. Somebody out there confirm it. Let me know. Comment wherever you can comment this, but they did away with the alignment system so that nobody could be, nobody at the table was excluded, which I'm middle of the road about. That's kind of hard. I've had a party fall apart because I had the old party who was more aligned with evil. They're kind of like thieves and stuff. One character was a sorcerer who was being corrupted by a succubus. So they were starting to move down the alignment pole because of that alignment. And we picked up new characters who were all basically like paladins and good guys. Yeah, first game out they let the other characters die. They didn't give a shit because they were not aligned with them and they were paladins. So fuck them. So I can kind of get the whole alignment thing. My rule of the table was like, you're stuck, that you got all our players, because I even told them, the paladin people, that you're stuck together with these guys. Your alignments don't mesh, but what has to happen is you have to find common ground to have this adventure. If you don't want to find common ground, then get the hell out of my game. Like, don't even play. Don't even play that character. Pick a new character, roll a new character, or just not play at all. Because, if you're just going to go in there with your own, this is a team effort, and you're just going to go playing for yourself, then it's not going to work. And of course, they did exactly that. And that was the last time I ran a D&D campaign. I closed my book. I got up. I told my friends that were with me, the old people that were with me, I said, okay, we're done here. It's time to go home. And we ended the game. And that was the unfortunate end to one of my campaigns, was that, I ended up allowing a bunch of a new set of players in. The situation was that I wasn't able to look over what they were doing. I didn't know their personalities. They were friends of a friend of a friend. So, but wanted to play. And I learned really quick what happens when you kind of, you don't really know these people, and you kind of have people, the one person that was leading it was a rules lawyer and knew, like, would like, oh, here, I'm manipulating the rules. I'm allowed X amount of gold according to the rules. So therefore I can have an X power magical sword and an X power magical shield. And, and then I can just like have all these things that actually, even though I'm a brand new character, I'm going to throw my game out of balance with, everybody else that's already been playing before I even got to the damn table. Very, very obnoxious. It was very obnoxious. I guess I can kind of see the alignment thing. I know the last time I did play, like I said, I think I did play like fifth edition once. I was asked to join a table, and I created a character who was a paladin, and kind of wanted to do, and learning from this experience of how I had a paladin wreck my game, I wanted a paladin that was flexible, that would be, if the team was good, the paladin would be good. And if the team was bad, the paladin would become what was called an oathbreaker and would become bad. She would become whatever the party makeup was, so that I could be flexible with that character. I can do some stuff with that character. And I thought it would be awesome. And we got to that game, and first big bad that we had to fight, I got killed. Nobody was able to rescue me, and I had to recreate a new character. And then shortly thereafter, the pandemic happened, and everything got dispersed. So I didn't even get to create a new character. I barely got to play the new character. But yeah, that's my kind of take on like the alignment kind of thing. Other complaints are things like, like the mind flayers aren't allowed to be evil, and the beholders aren't allowed to be crazy. And I kind of and I don't necessarily agree with that. They're trying to change the drow because the context of the drow when they were created weren't really necessarily positive. So we're trying to fix that so that it's trying to be positive. But I kind of like the whole craziness. I kind of see that being a Hasbro thing, that they have to answer to parent groups and stuff. And I remember like things like Zartan used to be schizophrenic on his file card, and then they had to change that because parent groups were upset. So it's them kind of answering to they're probably they're changing those rules based on lawyers, actual rule lawyers, real life rule lawyers. So I guess, but I'm spending too much time of the actual D&D, and I actually brought you all here to talk about Honor Amongst Thieves. So I want to go back to the whole woke thing, air quote wokes. God, I hate that. I hate that that's a thing. So going into this movie, there was a lot of wokeness going on. This movie was woke mainly because a woman was defending a man. This was I guess feminist propaganda. A woman was defending a man, and the man was dumbed down and weak in comparison to the character, so that she could look better. I'm assuming, because this was all written before the movie came out, so this is probably referring to Chris Pine's Edgin, Aedgin, and Michelle Rodriguez's Holga. Holga Kilgore. Like Lobo had kind of said this to me before, where it's like studios kind of propagate this negativity because negative press equals good press. Any press equals good press, but negative press equals good press. And I kind of feel like, like this shit just is propagated and somehow like put out there on blast to just help the movie in some way. Is like, in comparison to like the female Ghostbusters. I wanted the female Ghostbusters to be successful. I wanted it to be more than what it was. Some of the negative reviews were right. They dumbed down the male characters. All the male characters were either stupid or weak to bolster the female characters. And I didn't really necessarily see the point to that. I'm going to go on a sidetrack here, is that I did read a lot of reviews of like, well, a lot of this writing was revenge writing because, the 80s movies always made the women weak and dumb. So therefore now that that writer is in power, they're going to just do a 180, and they're going to make the male characters dumb, just to bolster the female characters. So that's to me, that is the baseline of what a woke feminist agenda or whatever horse shit that they shove out there, of what that baseline. That's what it is to me. Edgin is not dumbed down. He is far from dumbed down, and he's not weak. All right, I don't want to go down a whole political rabbit hole on this, so I think I'm gonna wrap this up as quickly as I can. But it's like, we'll get it down. We'll boil it down to their characters. Edgin is a bard. Bards don't really like do combat versus Holga, who is a barbarian. They're the fighters. They fit their class. They fit what they fit what they're doing. I mean, this movie is what I wish that the female Ghostbusters would have been. We're not dumbing down one character to make another character. They're all on equal footing. And that is okay. That is fine with me. That's the way it should be. I managed to dodge most of the stuff. Going into it, I saw that a lot of people disliked it because of the comedy. Afterwards, I opened myself up to a little bit more of the comments. I didn't really read any professional critic reviews as of yet, because I wanted to have a non-biased podcast, which turned out to be a stupid political one. So I haven't really watched or read anything outside of whatever's just in front of my face. So most of the stuff, and again, it's always the negativity. I think I kind of wonder if I just thrive on like the negative stuff, because it's like I was watching reels with Riley off of my YouTube. And I'll be, I'll go and I'll watch like a cat video, and it's like, all right, I go turn to Riley and they're like, all right, now it's off to the comments and see who's the first one to say something negative. And Riley's like, well, it's a cat video. Nobody says anything negative in a cat video. And I'm like, there's always one. There's always one negative comment on any video. Except for mine. And keep it that way, god damn it. The big thing was that people were upset about the amount of humor that was in this movie. I don't really. I mean, they wanted. My impression was they wanted Dungeons and Dragons to be taken seriously and be more real world, and I guess be more like the 2000 Dungeons and Dragons Jeremy Irons stuff. I mean, that's what happens when you take it too seriously. Is that it becomes campy and over the top and weird because you're dealing with like some magic stuff. And quite honestly, the past 6 years have been a shit show. And I don't know if I want to sit there and watch grim and gritty all the time. You know, I want some laughs, I want some giggles, I want some fun. I want some laughs and giggles in my Marvel movies. I'm sorry. I want to escape the reality of what shit real life is and not necessarily want grim and gritty. Not that it's you know, the occasional film is okay. You know, like The Batman is fine being grim and gritty, and The Joker is fine being grim and gritty, but it's like, you know, peppered in with some humor. And I don't want like Thor, Love and Thunder levels of comedy. I don't want like, you know, a joke per minute at everybody's expense just because we want the giggles. I thought that the humor in this was well balanced. I laughed when I was I think I was like the fifth person in the room. And I was probably the loudest one laughing at everything, getting some of the references. Oh, that's a reference I get. I don't mind humor surrounding the film. And it wasn't overused. And as a matter of fact, I think the balance of humor in this movie really recalled like how humor is handled at our table. Like our adventures... When I would play D&D, our adventures were never super serious and real world. Like, you know, somebody botched a roll, there's jokes made at their expense. You know, they make jokes at their expense. You know, I read one where, and I don't know if it's real or not, but it was a meme where like an archer goes to shoot a Yeti and he rolls a 1. So the DM describes the arrow as falling off the edge of the cliff. It misses the Yeti and it falls off the edge of the cliff. And the player got to do a saving throw because they were, I guess, a ranger or a specific class. I don't recall what it was, but they got to do a saving throw and they rolled a 20. And so the DM had to change that 20 so he had to change that critical miss into a critical hit. So like the DM's like, oh, so an updraft caught the arrow and shoots the Yeti right in the middle of the forehead and kills the Yeti. That's a meme, haha, maybe that's real, maybe that's made up, but who knows, ha ha ha, that's funny. But that shit happens at our freaking gaming table all the time. I had a player who ended up with a succubus girlfriend because he was a shitty sorcerer, but he was good at diplomacy. And so I allowed, you know, even though you don't allow like a natural 20s on like on certain skill checks, I allowed a natural 20 on diplomacy only because I had alternate uses because I wanted to use the taint rules from the Dungeon Master's expansion book. So I allowed him to become friends with a succubus. He couldn't cast spells worth a damn though. So, you know, that shit happens at the table, and that's portrayed in this movie. There's a character called Simon who's, you know, he's not a good sorcerer. His spells consist of, using a finger for like a candle, and he can cast a spell. It's a smell of freshly cut grass, you know, and I'm like, that's almost on par with our sorcerer from our party. And, you know, again, I didn't feel like it was over-the-top humor like Love and Thunder. Although I excuse the over-the-top humor of Love and Thunder being that Korg is the narrator at the beginning of the film. And I feel like that movie is being told through the eye of Korg, who is an unreliable storyteller. This movie, however, is pretty much told is most of the story told through Edgin, who is a bard. He's a storyteller. He's a singer. He's a storyteller. That's what bards do. And so you get some stuff like there's stuff at the beginning where he tells his backstory, And then later on, it's revealed that he left some stuff out of his backstory. He didn't give the full truth, and here's the full truth. This is, he's the reason why that they're in the shit show that they're in. You've got the sorcerer who's like, not really that great. He's a bad sorcerer, and it's like I'd assume like the time frame. I mean, there's almost kind of a time frame where, when he gets the party together, and when the party disbands, and I'm going to say like the time frame is probably approximately 13 years. And in 13 years, Simon never gets better. Like, he never improves. He never gets better with his spell casting. And that is like totally something that would happen at my table. I could see that happening. A lot of like the adventures, like they do a lot of things that kind of, that I wouldn't say fail. Yeah, I guess it would fail. Like they're looking for a helm. Spoilers again. If you're listening to this, too bad. I mean, you would know I would be spoiling the shit out of it. But they're looking for this helmet, and they have to dig up the dead, and they're pretty much desecrating tombs and digging up the dead, and they have this amulet that will allow them to ask 5 questions to the dead, and so they're trying to track down the helmet. Well, the first person they dig up, well, Edgin fucks up, and he asks too many dumb questions, and then they can't get anything. They have to desecrate another tomb, and they find out that guy died before he knows where the helm gets, before the helm gets passed, so he doesn't know where the helm goes. So they have to find another guy, and another guy is like, "Oh, well, I'm the brother of this guy, so I don't even know anything that happened. I just happened to slip and fall in the bathtub, so I didn't even know I was present at the battle, but I don't know what happened to any of this." It was stuff like that, or things like they would get their answer like within 2 questions, and then they were like ready to walk away, and Simon's like, "You can't leave them, they can't go back to their eternal sleep until the questions are asked," and stuff like set up like that, and it's like I enjoyed that humor. I've seen like some reviews saying like Hasbro pointed at Marvel and said, "I want that," and so the scriptwriters just wrote Marvel movies, but just with Dungeons and Dragons settings. And honestly, was Marvel there first? I'm sure Marvel has their own pattern. We're in a world where like everything overlaps. I mean, I can name one thing that was totally Marvel, where it's like, okay, they did this thing that was Marvel-esque, and then they take that joke one step further, and I could see that happening. I saw that, but overall, it's like it being compared. I mean, you could probably compare it to, I don't know, Happy Gilmore or something. I don't know. It's like, oh well, that's the same kind of jokes that Sam Kinison. No, shit.
Please hold the line.
That's the same kind of joke that Adam Sandler would make. So therefore, this film is just like, they ripped everything off from Happy Gilmore. I don't know. I don't. Yeah. Everything's going to be a ripoff of everything else. Nobody got there first. Everything that's been told has already been told. It's just put in a blender and recombobulated. So I get off of that track. That's not even that's not a thing. So we're getting to the end here. I think I pretty much covered everything. My overall review is I loved the shit out of this movie. I mean, this movie actually brought me to tears at the end. There is an event that happens at the end that I will not spoil. I highly encourage you to go see this. It being a Marvel ripoff, I don't really see that. It's whatever. I go to the movies to be entertained. I know my reviews, you generally are like, oh, well, I like this film. Every film I go to, I see, I like. And it's because I go to films to be entertained. And did this film entertain me? Yes. As of this recording, this film was, I guess, had a successful weekend, and I hope it does. I hope that we get more out of this. Despite the negativity of the evil corporation of Hasbro, and oh no, we're setting a precedent, and whatever. You only have one life, and you just enjoy what the hell's in front of you. I don't, if the evil corporation is going to pick my pockets over this movie, I have that $7 I guess. But that's about it. I implore you, please go see this film, support this film. And if you like the toys, collect the toys. I passed on these toys. I'm the only toy end of this is I got the original. They put out and I know I said this on an episode before, but they put out the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon characters. I have the full set of them, and that's pretty much the end of it. There's some stuff they're putting out from the Bestiary or the Monster Manual that I would probably pick up, but other than that, I gotta pick and choose. That evil corporations kind of hike the prices up too much for plastic junk, plastic shelf warmers, plastic desk collectors that I have to kind of pick and choose. But if you're into that, please collect those figures. And if you collect those figures, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are towards that. Let me know what your thoughts are towards that movie. And I am out of here. Have a good night. Have a good week. Have a good something. Have muzzle tov. Good night.